Hi. Um, so, um, I'm sure you saw the title. Why else would you be watching the video? Today I wanted to talk about what happens when you have something looming in your life that you have no control over, um, how to cope with um, just not knowing what's going to happen in your life. And it wasn't until I actually just sat here that I realized, oh, you all might be thinking I'm being political. I am not. Although that would explain why um, it seems like that is the most sort of common thing. Um, it wasn't. I had um, lots of issues this week. Um, my son had a huge thing happen, which actually I didn't think was going to get resolved until tomorrow. Tomorrow was the deadline. He got it done today. Yes, kid. Um, I had issues with work, um, things blowing up. By the way, um, I was talking previously that I changed my job about a month ago, and my timing is impeccable because my previous manager quit without notice. Absolute chaos over there, and I don't have to deal with that at all. But that's the type of thing. Actually, there was another manager. Um, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but they're no longer working with the company. I don't know if they quit or if they were asked to leave, but this all happened at once. Like, oh man. um, and luckily, I mean, so what I'm dealing with is basically a workload that's exploding, and but I don't have to deal with that area directly, so it could be so much worse. Um, so yeah, that resolution is good, and then I have a couple of health issues coming up because of course I do, because I'm old now, and apparently that's what I do. Um, and I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Plus, of course, there is the world, which everybody is dealing with right now, which you never know from hour to hour what's happening in the world. So I don't even really even think about it. So yeah, like I said, lots of stuff happening. I mean, it was like I had no idea what my life was going to look like in another couple weeks. That type of chaos, hugely stressful, massively stressful. Um, Apparently, that's what I'm doing lately. Is lots of stress. I don't see. This is the thing. I don't feel abnormally stressed out. So me personally, this is like totally, because it is, I make these videos and it's like a check-in. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm stunningly this amazing amount of stress that I'm under, and yet I'm handling it really well. I mean, a lot of it again is looking at what I was dealing with before and now what I'm dealing with. Like, for example, I have this new job, um, and effectively I've taken a pretty decent pay cut. But I'm also working maybe 2/3, maybe half as much as what I was working before. So yeah, I'm making less money. Um, and so what? Um, Adjust this expenses. Life is grand. I don't have to deal. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know why I'm handling all this stuff that's happening, because this is the type of thing that really would have set me off a while ago. So I really wish I had more information. I could say, this is what I did and this is what's working in my life. Um, I think that the fact that I'm doing these things and I do have a degree of control. Like I said, I mean, I when when people with avoidant personality disorder change something in their life, um, and it's self-initiated, it's got to be really, really bad. Um, you don't. It's one of the things, I guess, famously that, um, as a group, people the least likely to get a divorce, to initiate a divorce ever, is somebody with avoidant personality disorder. They just hang on forever. And I'm just like, okay. Um, and that's kind of the way I am with everything. So things were really bad. So now in comparative comparison, they're like, okay, different, whatever, I can handle it. Um, and these huge things that could have happened, have not happened. So, I mean, some of them, who knows? Like, I do have, I've got one of my health issues. They seem to have a plan. I'm going to just go with it. On paper, it sounds good to work. The other one is very up in the air. And yet I'm totally functioning and everything else. It's just a matter of, do I nip it in bud? Or is this going to be a thing that I deal with forever? That is what I'm talking about. Um, what happened with my son, he was just like, okay, so he's got this chaos happening in his life, which he figured out and is not actually happening anymore. Um, Again, he's got himself a really good plan, but he's just like, okay, well, mom's going to figure everything out. Mom's going to jump in and save me. And I'm just like, what? Um, and I had no idea. And he was not forthcoming with what was happening. And I'm just like having it hanging over my head, like, yes, I'm being supportive of him going through his thing, but there's this other part of me going, okay, his life could collapse, and his reaction to that is, oh, I'm just going to go have mom take care of it. And I didn't know if or when this thing was going to get dumped on me. And this is very different from, say, somebody suddenly, for example, somebody suddenly dying, um, where you might have a small amount of leeway, maybe, like, this person, yeah, something's happening, but it does just hit you out of the blue, and all of a sudden, boom, you've got to hit the ground running and deal with that. That's not what I'm talking about here, thankfully. What I'm talking about is, this pending something, that you don't know what it is, and so you can't plan for it. Now, people with avoidant personality disorder, very non-confrontational when it comes to this sort of thing. That is actually where the avoiding comes from when they talk about an avoidant person, is um, is avoiding the confrontation, is avoiding, yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, that's it. That's it. So how to handle that sort of thing? Usually what people with avoidant personality disorder do is they sort of catastrophize. They will sort of practice how they would cope if this or that or the other scenario ever happened. Um, For example, if you're going to go to a party or something like that, unlikely, I know, but sometimes you have to, you're forced to, due to like family or work or something like that. It's not usually something that you would voluntarily do. Um, but if you're forced to do it, you'll just sit, and it is a kind of rumination, except rumination is usually about things that happened in the past. But I mean, what it is in the past that you're ruminating about is, I've been given this task I know I'm going to have to do. Um, let me prepare for it. So it works the same way as a rumination. You just think about it, think about it, think about it. How do I, act in this situation? What if this person talks to me? What if that person wants to hear this or that or whatever? Um, I have stories that I tell, lots and lots of stories. I have them all worked out ahead of time. People love talking to me. I mean, they're not talking to me. They're hearing the stories that I have collated before I ever interact with people. Um, I sit down and think up like odd little jokes or whatever, commentary that makes me seem like I have a sense of humor, more or less. And I do all this like constantly. I would say, even when I'm not in a stressful situation, I am thinking of things I can talk about that are not talking about me, that are not like a personal thing, but are like in the world. I would say I spend at least a half an hour a day, every single day, coming up with stories to talk about, just in case I have a situation that pops up and I have to talk to somebody. And I'm still pretty regularly caught off guard by people that suddenly they remember me and or something, and they want to, what happened with this, or oh my gosh. Oh. So, what happens when you've got something pending and you just cannot like read the tea leaves and figure out what's going to happen in the future? What do you do? How do you do that? You can't come up with all the stories of how you're going to talk to somebody. I looked at myself. I shouldn't have done that. Now I'll anyway, whatever. We're gonna pretend I'm not a person and I'm not looking. Anyway, I'm sure you're used to that when it kicks in. Um, what do you do? How do you cope when something might happen in the future and you just don't know, and you have no control, and it could just dump on you at any time? Because that is the type of thing that will drive somebody completely round the bend if you have avoidant personality disorder. Because you're trying to avoid looking bad. You're trying to save face. So if you can't prepare ahead of time, how? How are you supposed to deal with whatever's going to happen? You can't. You can't. So what usually happens is you basically get massively stressed about it. It can trigger a full-blown depression. And I basically, I want to stop there, because this is another one of those places where if you're aware of this is how you react to things, these are the steps it's going to take, this is what's going to happen. What's going to happen is you're not going to react well to the fact that you can't predict the future, because that's what we do. We like read people and anticipate how they're going to react and what they're going to think and how they're going to respond to you, brace ourselves for that reaction, and prepare sort of defense, a counter defense for whatever might be coming out of them. Um, And that is how we do self-protection. So if you can't do that, it's terrifying. And again, it can cause straight up a full-blown depression. Here's the thing. Knowing about this ahead of time, you can realize that this is a pattern and it's not real. If you are absolutely freaking out and can't cope because you don't know what exactly is going to happen in the future, um, I mean, unbelievably stressful. This is stressful for everybody. It's not just somebody with avoidant personality disorder. Everybody gets completely freaked out and stressed if they don't know. Even if it's a good thing that's coming, if they don't know what's coming and it could be this or it could be that, it's very stressful. So, um, if you are reacting with a severe depression, what does depression do? Depression is what makes you avoid people, right? It makes you not be able to cope. It makes you hole up. It makes you basically go to bed and stay there because you can't even function, you can't get out of bed because you're depressed, right? Which means that you're not interacting with whatever or whoever is causing the stress in your life. You are avoiding that stress, right? It is a safety reaction and it is not real. It is self protection. I mean, it is a strange thing to say, okay, there are different types of depression and how real they are. I mean, it could be you have a chemical imbalance in your brain that's causing depression. If that's the case, take the medication, get rid of that. I mean, it's a real thing. That's your physical reaction. It could be that something has actually already happened to you and it is throwing you for a loop. And it might cause depression because like your life has gone into chaos. Okay. But if you have something in the future that has not happened yet, then it's not a real depression. It is your brain anticipating stress. And so it is basically giving you a way to opt out of dealing with the stress and causing a depression. So keep that in mind. And I'm not saying ignore it. I'm not saying don't do any kind of like self-care type thing. Don't take care of yourself. I'm not saying that. I'm saying keep reality in mind because there are depressions that you truly cannot function. You know, and those are what I would consider like the more real. Um, and then there are these reactive type depression symptoms that are literally a self-protection thing. And those are not real. And you will be able to function. And your life will be better if instead of, being the ostrich and burying your head in the sand, you actually work through whatever it is, deal with whatever the horrible stress is. Because, I mean, it could be really good. It could be really bad. Like the stresses that I've been having this week so far are things that I don't know what's happening with them yet. So far, all of them have worked out like probably the best that could be. The thing that happened with work, guess what? I have had nobody even suggest at all that I go back to the other department and help them out. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, they're going to have me try to go in there and fix everything. And I'm not even going to be a supervisor, which means I'm not going to be able to fix anything. And I'm not going, right? No, nobody's even suggested it. I can't believe it. It's completely awesome. I'm completely out of the loop. They are not even suggesting it. Yes. This thing that happened with my son, I mean, yes, he went right down to the line, but he took care of it and got everything resolved. Yes. So far, my medical things that I've been dealing with, yep, I've had to speak up to people. But guess what? They all went, well, okay, yep, this is a little different. And how about this for a solution? You've been dealing with this for this long, you've tried this and this and this, and it doesn't seem to be working. Let's just do something radically different. And I'm like, yes, thank God I spoke up, because even if it doesn't work, it's something different other than status quo, which means that I personally am pretty sure that things are going to work out. But I mean, the avoidant part of me was like, they're going to tell me that it's not real, that I'm being psychosomatic, and shut up and go away. That's what they got to tell me. No, actually, totally respected for everything that I've brought forth. I'm very surprised, to tell the truth. Um, I just, again, I assume that nobody's ever going to do anything to help me out or have my back or believe me, even because of the uh, the way that I was brought up, and the avoidant, you know, I'm not worthy type thoughts that I've been having forever. So, I mean, if I'm not worthy, then why would anybody even try to help me, right? Please. Well, guess what? Um, it is working out. So, me sitting there, one doing, I keep calling it ruminating. I'm sure there's a different official term for it, but that's what it's exactly the same thing. Sitting and going through scenarios when I don't have anything. I mean, again, if you're going to go to a party or something, and you know that these 20 people are going to be there, and you've met them, and you know how they type like to chat, um then you will, it's a worthy thing to try to sort of pregame figure out how you would interact with them if they wanted to talk to you. I mean, it's good to have like something in your back pocket, even if you going grocery shopping or something, and somebody suddenly is like, hey, how you doing? And you're like, oh my God, no. Rather than run away, right? Because that's what the avoidance and the depression symptoms, depression reaction would tell you to do, would tell you to get out of the situation instead of going through it. Because if you go through it, maybe you'll have a 2-minute conversation, but it'll be over with. Now, granted, you'll ruminate about it, but you won't have them sending you a text the next day. Were you okay? Did I offend you? Or, I mean, ugh, no, um, none of that. Um, so that is the super common reaction, though, is to have sort of the mimicked symptoms of a depression in order to not have to deal with the um, issue, whatever you're having, because you don't know, because you can't really work out what um, what your next steps would be. You don't know if you can start preparing for it now, or if it's not going to happen at all, or if it's going to be something that you never even anticipated. Um, so yeah, if you're aware that this is what usually people with avoidant personality disorder do, I mean, again, look up the diagnostic criteria. You'll see it right there. Um, that avoiding confrontations is like major, you know. So one of the things that you won't do, I'm sure, is ask for an like a status update. There's no way that you would do that. No way that you would do that. Um, I had a work event. I didn't realize it was coming. It was like last month. I thought it was going to be maybe next month. I knew there was something coming at some point. Um, I was not sure at all that I was going, because company I have, it's like the people who know, they just assume everybody knows everything. So they don't bother telling you if you're required to go to this meeting or whatever until the last minute. I had no idea if I was actually going to have to do the thing. I did have to do the thing. Um, but you better damn well believe that I never asked anybody, am I, ask them outright, because then I would know. Um, and then I would have to really start planning for it. Um, rather being in the limbo. Limbo sucks, absolutely sucks. But um, in that case, pretending I didn't have to do it was better than um, trying to come up with the plan for uh, dealing with it. And actually, unfortunately, the plan I came up with did not work because it was so last minute. But whatever. I mean, it was something I did. It was an experiment and it failed. Um, but knowing that the reaction will be to mimic a depressed type of symptoms of your life in order to self protect and avoid the confrontation, which means it's not real, and you can work through it. Because the problem is when you're having something like this happen, usually it's going to come, to a head where you've got to do something. You have to do something, and it could be as simple as answering the phone from the doctor when they call. It could be, huge and monumental, but it could be really small. And if trying to avoid confrontation, um, you go hide out with a false depression, um, it's going to make everything worse in the end. So if you see the symptoms ahead of time and you know what's going on, then you can decide to not give in to the depression, because it's not real. It's not the real you've been taken out, that's it, you really truly can't function. It's not real. It's mimicking it so that you don't have to have the confrontation. And if it's mimicking it and it's not real, and again, I'm not saying don't do self-care. I'm saying you can choose. And you can choose if you want to deal with whatever the issue is right then and there, and then get it out of your life, you know, or not. And the other thing is that you can use that to, because if you're like truly in limbo and you don't know what's happening and it's hanging out there in the future and you can't prepare for it at all because you don't know what the answer is going to be yet, then yeah, rest, a, i.e. I'm depressed, um, may be the best thing for you. And if you switch that in your head from I'm depressed, so I have to go to bed, versus I'm going to take this active choice to do something to take care of myself, to prepare for whatever might be happening in the future. I mean, it's just being aware of what you're doing and why, instead of feeling so completely out of control and everything's running away. But instead, this is a choice. I know what's happening about this one thing that might take enough stress off that you can, breathe through whatever the thing that you don't know what's going to happen is going to be. And the other thing of that is, if you realize that you're not in a real depression and it turns out to actually be a good thing or to resolve well, whatever, um, then you're not tricking yourself into staying in the depression. Um, and you can sort of just like shake it off a lot easier when you realize that, okay, this is why you were behaving this way. Look like depression, walk like depression, talk like depression, but it wasn't. It was a stress reaction. Um, and so you don't have to sort of coddle it and keep it for longer than is necessary, and you can drop it off. And I really think that's why I am able to get through what I've gone through in the last, like, I don't know, 6 weeks or something. Um, because, um, again, what I was going through at work, especially with my previous department, um, that should have caused a depression. It would have caused a depression. But I realized what I was trying to do was not deal with the people in that job. Okay, well, if that's the issue is I can't deal with those people, then don't deal with those people. Just get rid of those people and I don't ever have to deal with them. And guess what? I don't have to be depressed. Bingo, it worked. Um, and then what I mean, really, truly, when I was like, because based on the week calendar, um, I still thought I was going to have this big, humongous question mark over my life based on um, what was going on. Would have been um, today, Thursday, with my son, but he already got it taken care of. Um, so I thought I was still going to be in limbo and questioning and waiting for the phone call about what was going to happen. But I don't have to anyway. But the same sort of thing. It's the type of thing. It just paralyzes you, and you mimic being depressed, but it's not real. It is just a self-protection thing that you're doing temporarily because this one crazy thing is happening that you just don't know what's going to happen, and you can't control what's going to happen, and it's just frying circuits. So once you get a resolution, positive or negative, if you're not like really truly in the depression, then you will have the ability to do whatever you need to do um, once you get your answer. But don't say, "Oh, I'm depressed. I can't do anything." Um, if that's what it is, if you feel depressed because you've got something coming that you don't know what the actual outcome is going to end up being yet, see if it's a false thing. Um, and again, even if you go, hide in bed for a week or two, um, as long as you know that you're doing it for self-care versus you're depressed and unable to do anything else. I'm telling you, in the end, you'll have a more ability to cope with whatever's going to happen, and things will go better for you in the long run. Anyway, I've rambled on enough. I'll talk to you next week.